Hey everyone, it's been a while. I had the privilege of having multiple projects in the last months, so I haven't really been active on YouTube. But in the next weeks I have some time, and because I found some interesting stuff on the flea market, I thought maybe I can show you in some videos how I create textures and bass layers, tonal layers for my ambient music, for game projects and other stuffs. So yeah, so I found this old music box on a flea market 2 days ago. We will use this for the base layer and we can create some textures out of this, and I can show you later in Ableton how I would do it. I've used some contact mics so we can record the thing. I think it will be pretty interesting because it's somewhat organic because we recorded through the wood. But it's also mechanical, so we have like some organic feel and maybe some mechanical things. But we will see what we can do with it. I will probably stretch it to hell, so you will probably not hear what it was originally, but that is a good thing, I think, and we can definitely use this as like a base layer for some nice textures. Yeah, then I see you in Ableton. Yeah, so now we are in Ableton. I have hooked up the contact mic to my sound card so we can record the music box. Yeah, let's just do that. This is enough. We don't need long audio because we are gonna stretch it. I always put warp off because warp only lets us shift the pitch but not the length. So we just take this audio and stretch it way farther. The interesting thing with acoustic and contact mic stuff is if you stretch the audio, you also create your own reverb on the tails because the ringing of the bells in the music box gets stretched, so you have like a reverb kind of effect. Let's listen to that. Without actually having any reverb on it. I like to commit those, so I will bounce it. And at least for me, if I don't bounce it, I will maybe get tired of hearing it, then doing some changes after changes, and then we have the problem of not finishing stuff. So now that we have bounced it, we can start working on it. What I like to do always is reverb first, at least for me. I usually do work with some plugins, not many, but some. But because for the sake of showing what I'm doing, I think it's best to work with Ableton stock, and you can create a lot of stuff with Ableton stock. For example, with hybrid reverb, I will put the shimmer on it, maybe put the pitch on like 6 or something, a bit longer of a decay, and maybe because we have a longer decay, we want a longer early reflection. Let's hear it. Yeah, that's nice. Maybe we also put the size a bit up and modulate it. Like modulation is, at least for me, is everything. When we put an audio effect on, especially if we want to have like these long textures and background stuff for like game music or ambient in general, it's always important to modulate things. We don't need to modulate it much with a high percentage, but some is always good. And I think a rate for me most times is everything starting at 0.09 is like nice. We put it a bit out of phase. I think we can put the pitch shift is already down. Let's put the size maybe smaller and like also way down, because right now it's really audible. Another thing which is always nice is delays. I have built for myself mod delay, which is basically just like a modulated delay with which is already pre-built. I used vector map for this. You can build this yourself. It's not so difficult. You can just right click here, put it on a macro, and then use the vector map to modulate what you like. Vector map is available as a pack. I think it's Sound by Nature or something, inspired by Nature by Dylan Bastan. He does really nice Max for Life stuff in general. If you're looking for stuff and you don't want to use like a lot of plugins, his Max for Life things is already always really inspiring, at least for me. Yeah, I think this is a bit much for the speed. Let's also put the speed down here. And maybe put this a bit higher. So we have a dry wet basically here. I think this already sounds nice. What I also like to do is grain delay. So let's use a grain delay maybe after this, but more as a mix effect. I create a chain and then we can basically mix it in here. So let's maybe put this at -8. Random pitch maybe on 3s, and here also I'm modulating it again, just like bass LFO. You can use like multiple LFOs types. There's some interesting Max for Life stuff, like the Slink LFO, and I like the Spellbook for the vibes. But you can just like use bass Ableton LFO. It does the job. Here also I don't want it to modulate as much, but a bit is fine. On the spray and frequency, put it way down, put it out of phase, maybe also stray. And maybe we modulate also the sync here, so it's a bit out of sync. I think we put the warp out here. And I think we can put this also quieter, so it's more in the background. And I think we can use some panning on it. Let's do auto pan. I haven't really worked with the new pen that much. Maybe like way slower, higher amount. Maybe do something with the shape. And we can also modulate this here a bit, maybe. So just like a small bit, and maybe the shape also. Also a bit, which is nice. Yeah, then because I can hear it's really stereo at the moment, it's always good to dial the stereo down a bit. Let's see, we are somewhat clean here. For game audio, I usually like to do like a EQ cut at like 60. Which is nice. So I think this is our first layer. Then let's maybe duplicate this. And let's reverse this. And I think what we can do is use this with the corpus maybe to get some tonality in. add some bass, maybe with a pipe, some LFO on a low rate, and put this down because Corpus boosts the audio a bit, so we can put it way lower. I always like to have my bass, at least for not so bass heavy stuff, when you have your background ambient and stuff, to have it a bit lower, most of the time at like 8 dBs quieter than the other stuff. I think this works. Let's maybe put like a filter, put it lower. Or let's use maybe like an actual filter, so we have like only the bass. And maybe let's also modulate this. This and like way slow, also out of phase, and we need to make this definitely more compatible. Let's maybe make this like completely mono, not so much, maybe something like this. And I can see we have some resonances here. Yeah, in Ableton we don't have stock dynamic EQ at the moment. I mean, you can build one with an envelope follower, but I have external software for that. Maybe Ableton, if you hear this, some dynamic EQ would be really appreciated. So let's maybe pull this out a bit for the moment. Let's see, something like this, maybe like 4. Normally I don't really like to pull out as much because you're basically taking the character out of the sound, but in this case, because it's very resonant, I think it's good to have this. What we can also do is put an LFO again. Like I said, everything needs to be modulated all the time. At least for me, you don't have to do it, but I really enjoy stuff that is moving quite a lot. And especially when I do stuff for games or other media, when you have like a background ambient for a level or something that needs to play like for a long time, it's always good because you will have looping stuff. It's always good to have like maybe I like to do 10 minutes of audio that is modulated heavily, but not modulated as much that it's noticeable, because we don't want this piece to be in the foreground, we want it to be in the background, but yeah, so it's not noticeable that it's looping all the time. Yeah, I think this is nice. Let's maybe do here mid, not first, because there are more mid frequencies. This we call low, and then we duplicate this, I think, and let's do like a high layer. I think for this I would like to use a vocoder. Now we can put this higher again. And maybe do like a high pass. Maybe put this a bit higher, and we definitely need to boost this. What we can also do... Oh, do we need to boost it? I think it sounds okay, but maybe we put this a bit shorter decay, and we can definitely have something like this. And we also modulate the vocoder. Oh wait, we already have an LFO here. Let's make something like this. And let's maybe do like 4 bands, so it's a bit more 8-bitty. This now gets really loud. Let's maybe put this back a bit. And I think I want like the auto pen here on the whole thing. So we have it panning like really heavily from left to right and like way slower. And I think this is always something good to start with. I think maybe we can add some redux also here. Maybe something like this, and yeah, I think this is nice, so we can maybe group this, do some queuing on it again. This is fine. This also works. Maybe some glue compression. So I think this is a nice texture you can use, or a nice way to create textures. And also another way, maybe I show in the next video, is with a free plugin. Maybe we can use that to create like a low bass drone or something. But I think this is something you could definitely use to build on top of. Or just like as a base layer. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I think this is like a quick look at how you can create some textures or some ambiences for your projects. I always like to integrate like some stuff I find on the flea market, or just like sounds from the household, which is always nice to give it a bit more character, to make it a bit more you. Yeah, and I hope there was something for you to learn or to integrate into your projects. Yeah, if you liked it, please tell me what you liked or you didn't like. Yeah, and I hope to see you in the next one.